am.
Hey, it's your girl, The Flame, and you are now in tune to the Avro Show. Keep it locked right here. Hey, it's your girl, The
Good
Flame, and
evening.
you are
Good
now
evening.
in
Am I
tune to the
coming through?
Avro
Can you hear
Show.
me?
Keep it
I can
locked
hear you.
right here.
I
Hey, it's your
can't
girl, The
hear
Flame, and you
you.
are now
What
in
am
tune
I?
to the Avro Show. Keep it locked right here.
Can you hear me or no?
Hey, it's your girl, The Flame, and you are now in tune to the Avro Show. Keep it locked right here.
Hello?
Hey, it's your girl, The Flame, and you are now in tune to the Avro Show. Keep it locked right here.
Let's make sure I
Hey, it's
can
your girl,
hear
The Flame,
you.
and you are now in.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm hearing you. You're here with me, and I'm not hearing you. Let me
I can hear
see
you.
if
Yeah.
good to be here. Good evening, and I see folks tuning in and commenting. Can you hear? Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can. I'm trying to hear you and wonder why I'm not hearing you.
Do you want me to?
Okay, I would let someone comment and let us know if they're hearing us. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, I have our congressman on. Let him speak and see if you're hearing.
It's a pleasure to
Can
be.
everyone hear us loud and clear?
I can hear you loud and clear.
I'm not hearing you on my end. I'm hearing both of you. Okay, they're hearing us loud and clear. Okay, just want to be sure that I was not hearing on my end. Okay. All right. We have, hi, Benny. Thank you so much. Benny said loud and clear. So we are loud and clear. And I don't waste time on this program. I know some people wait for everyone to log on, but we're pressed for time and we're dealing with the congressman here. We can't have the congressman waiting. I know folks will see it later, but I just want to welcome you. Welcome and good night to you. Welcome to the Avril Show, Congressman Ritchie Torres.
It's an honor to be here.
And you're hearing me loud and clear.
I can hear you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're here and tonight, and I know most people want to hear, they hear politics. They hear the congressman is here, and they would like to hear what he has to say. And I know there is so much that we can stay here all night and tell you the great work that our congressman is doing for the people. But we're not going to keep him all night. I just want you to know that he's a fighter. I call him a fighter. The people call him a fighter for the Bronx and beyond. And I am going to allow you to introduce yourself because so many people we see you on the news, they hear about you. But here on the Avril Show, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself.
Yes, so I'm Ritchie Torres, a son of the Bronx. I was born and raised in the Bronx. Spent almost all my life in poverty. I was raised by a single mother in the Bronx who raised 3 children, earning $4.25 an hour. And so I tell people what makes me unique as a public official is that I govern from a place of lived experience. I know what it's like to face housing insecurity and food insecurity. I know what it's like to face inequality and poverty. These are not just simply ideas; these are realities that I've lived in my own life. And the most important lesson that I keep in mind as an elected official is to never forget where you came from and I come from the Bronx, and even when I leave the Bronx for Washington D.C., the Bronx never leaves me. It's who I am. It's the only place that I will ever call home. I've been an elected official for about 11 years. I served 7 years in the New York City Council, and I'm in my fourth year as a United States Congressman. And I'm about to become the primary congressman for the Northeast Bronx as a result of redistricting. So I'm excited about representing the great people of the Northeast Bronx. I'm going to fight my heart out for every constituent.
Okay, and I know someone just texted me about a question. Congressman, is in Washington? Someone just texted me, is he in Washington?
I'm here in the Bronx.
Okay. Listen, there is so much that you're doing, and sometimes I want the people to go and read and Google and do the work, because I know people would like you to come and tell you every law and everything that is done. But the main concern is, as someone said to me, the last election, we know we have our election on November 5th, and this is big. People think it's big because we're talking about the president, but we're here talking to Congressman Ritchie Torres, who is fighting for the people of the Bronx also. And we have to think about the elected officials in our community that is really doing the work, not just the president. So, but it's important to come out and make sure you cast your vote this year. We want people who care. Richie is such a humble person. I don't know where you get it from, but I have listened to your story so many times. I was at your breakfast the other day, and I listened to you, and I always say, I don't know how you remain so humble in politics and get the job done. You fought, and I was telling Benny that it doesn't matter. People needs to know the areas that you cover, because when people hear the congressman, they want to know. And some people went to the poll the last election, and they were looking for certain elected official. They say, I don't understand why he's not on my, I can't vote for him, because the lines that is drawn now is very confusing to the people, where you cover, where the councilman Kevin C. Riley cover, and all these different areas. So can you just brief us a little?
The lines are confusing, and I just want to be clear, I did not draw the lines. Those lines were imposed on me. But there are four. So there are four members of Congress who represent the Bronx. Of the four, I'm the only one who's exclusively in the Bronx, and I represent about half of the borough. So I split the Northeast Bronx with Congressman Jamal Bowman. I split the West Bronx with Congressman Adriano Espaillat, and I split the South Bronx with Congressmember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So my district goes as far south as Mott Haven. It goes to Riverdale and Woodlawn in the northwest, and it goes to the Northeast Bronx. So it's a massive territory. It covers about half the Bronx. And so I represent, well, starting in 2025, I'm going to represent every area in the Northeast Bronx except Baychester, Edenwald, and Co-op City. So Edenwald, Baychester, and Co-op City are going to be in New York 16, which is going to be represented by George Latimer. And I'm going to represent everything else in the Northeast Bronx.
Okay, and I see someone say, can you say what your plans to uplift the South Bronx in terms of jobs, education, and housing? Housing is such a big thing, and we know you have been fighting for the people when it comes to housing. So I know people want to hear about that, because housing issue, one thing I can say about you, Congressman, is that you someone who tell the people where you're coming from. You just didn't get here. You always tell the people, you come out of housing, you know what it is to live in New York City and deal with New York City housing. So I know you care. So the question is the plans for housing. What can you say about housing? We know everybody's crying for rent control, and we hear all the time about these houses that people are saying rent stabilization and the rent is so high. So I know a lot of people want to hear about the housing issues and your take on that.
Well, I'm a product of public housing, and I would not be where I am today were it not for public housing and the stability it gave to me and my family. So, affordable housing is the reason I ran for public office. One of the criticisms of affordable housing policy in New York is that most of the affordable housing that we seem to create is unaffordable to the lowest income New Yorkers. And so one of my proposals is to have what I call, universal housing vouchers. Every family struggling with housing insecurity or homelessness should have access to a housing voucher, which ensures that you pay no more than 30% of your income toward your rent. If we were to universalize access to housing vouchers, it would radically reduce the amount of homelessness and housing insecurity in our society. But in addition to rental housing, we have to expand access to home ownership. And I have a proposal related to credit scores. So the traditional credit score is exclusionary toward communities of color. I have constituents who have been paying their rent in full and on time, reliably for decades, and yet none of that is captured into their credit score. Your credit score never captures your rental payments. And so if we were to expand the scope of credit scores to include rental payments, it would generate a credit score for 72,000 Bronx residents for the first time ever. And of the 72,000, 21,000 would have a credit score high enough to qualify for a mortgage. And so people might ask, why do you care about a credit score? Well, without a credit score, you have no access to credit. And without access to credit, you have no means of purchasing a home. And without home ownership, you have no means of building wealth and passing wealth from one generation to the next. And so if we can reform the way we score credit in our society, we can dramatically expand access to home ownership, particularly in communities of color, particularly in places like the Bronx.
Mm. Okay. All right. Yes. Thank you. Someone just wrote in. Thank you so much and saying good evening to you.
Good evening. God bless.
thank, thank you so much. Listen, I allow you to speak. I like when they hear it from you, Congressman, because that's what the people wants to hear. And there is so much that you have said, and I always can back you up on this when I listen to and have been following you and have been just there following your tracks. And I know when it comes to housing you care, so that's not something that I think anyone can come here and say, well, you don't care about it. I know you have done a lot with Con Edison. We know we have the inflation where the Con Edison, the rise on our electricity bills. We're crying over food. We're crying over electricity bills. We're crying over the combat crime. I see you have step up the game when it comes to the Maracina, the Butler houses with the crime and everything that's happening there, which I tell people crime is a nationwide crime. But I like to know when you step foot out there and decide that we're not going to have it, we had enough of it. There's so much that you're doing. I know I'm not going to keep you all night because you have a very, you know, tough a tough head of you. So but tonight I'm just going to let you elaborate, because when people hear about the opioid and the fentanyl and the drugs, some people call it drugs, I don't know what we call it anymore, but I know you have a lot to say about it and you're doing a lot. So you're not just fighting for housing, you're fighting for our inflation and so many other things that's happening. So I really appreciate when you make your swift action when you heard about the crime in the Butler houses area. And have been following and I'm watching the work that you're doing. And I want to tell you, I really appreciate you for all that you're doing. And as I keep saying, your humbleness towards the people in the community. It's not everyone you can approach as an elected officials. Some people are not approachable, but you make everyone feel so warm and special when they're with you, like, hey, I'm here for you. So I just want to hear, how do you feel about I always call it, I always say drugs. People say don't say drugs, but the fentanyl, what's happening around here with us now, it's out of control.
It's one of the greatest challenges that we face, and so 97%. So we've seen more than 100,000 drug deaths in America every year, and most of those drug deaths are caused by fentanyl. Now, 97% of the fentanyl precursors, the fentanyl chemicals, are manufactured in China. So you have chemical companies in China manufacturing fentanyl chemicals and then shipping it to cartels in Mexico. And then the cartels synthesize the chemicals into the final product, into the final drug, and then smuggle it into the United States. And as a result of the fentanyl drug trade, more than 100,000 Americans are dying every year from fatal drug overdoses, mostly from fentanyl. But then there's a new story here. So the Department of Health recently found traces of a drug known as carfentanil. Carfentanil is even more powerful than fentanyl. Right? I said earlier that fentanyl has led to the deaths of more than 100,000 people. Carfentanil is so powerful that it serves as a tranquilizer for elephants. It is 10,000 times more powerful than morphine, 5,000 times more powerful than heroin, and 100 times more powerful than fentanyl. And so I'm concerned that carfentanil, which has been found right here in the Bronx, could make the deadliest drug crisis in American history even deadlier. And so I've called upon the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, and the Drug Enforcement Agency to investigate the spread of carfentanil in the Bronx and throughout the country, and to crack down on the supply chains that are causing the spread of carfentanil in the United States. So that's something we're monitoring closely.
You heard it. Selvin, I know you're taking in a lot and you can hear. So just tell me that you hear it loud and clear from our congressman. And trying to see what someone is texting, and it's not about the questions tonight, it's just from the council, the congressman, what he's doing for the people and the things that he has been doing and for the people of the Bronx and beyond. I know many people, you see pictures, you hear things in the media, but I always tell folks that the media is here to entertain. It can detract us. It can distract us. It can give us information that not even real. So you got to know what you're listening to, and that's why our elected officials are here sometimes, just to keep you abreast of what's happening. This is our congressman, and you need to follow his work. You need to understand sometimes where you're getting your news from. It may not be, and a lot of times I think people, every time they get an opportunity to speak to, yes, your Congressman Ritchie Torres. So we're gonna hear about the drugs, we're gonna hear about the housing, we're gonna hear about everything. But what I always say to people, just like it take a village to raise a child, it take more than just the congressman alone to make everything happen. Everyone come together to do their fair share and to make things better for us, the people. We're in an election phase. Everybody's excited, thanks to Congressman Torres. Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Thompson. So, yes, I know he can't see the comments here because of the way that this show is being broadcast, but you can see it later. And yes, Selvin was in a hotel earlier this year, and most of the hotel was occupied illegals, where the state is financing their housing. How should New Yorkers understand this when there are so many New Yorkers dealing with homelessness? You know, That is the question. So we the hotels are occupied. So many places now are occupied. And is there anything that you can say on that?
Yeah, so a few thoughts. I mean, first, we've seen just massive waves of migration, at the southern border, pouring into New York, putting an enormous amount of strain on our shelter system, on our safety net. President Biden did issue an executive order restricting asylum seeking at the border. And as a result, there has been a 30% reduction in migration. So there are fewer migrants who are coming into New York. But locally here in New York, we have a policy known as the right to shelter. So every person who comes here is automatically entitled to housing. And I respectfully feel that we have to rethink that policy. It's unrealistic to think that New York City can afford to house every single person who comes here from every corner of the earth. That's an unrealistic burden to place on the taxpayers of New York at a time when we have tens of thousands of our own residents who are struggling with homelessness and housing insecurity. So I feel like we locally, the city of New York has to rethink the policy of 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 what is known as the right to shelter.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's I feel good to have you here. I feel very honored to have you here because you're not just an elected official. You're not just a congressman. You're somebody who care about the people. You went way back to teaching us just 2 Saturdays ago about some stuff that we learned about Martin Luther King and the people that stood with him, and stories that we never heard or would have known if it wasn't for you. And I know I can share some later, but it's so much that you have done, and it's so many lives you have touched, and you're walking in a shoe that I don't know who can fit the shoe after you, but you're really doing a great job. I have to say that you are doing a great job, and I know people would like to see a lot more changes. But anything that you have to share, because I know you're pressed for time, and is a stand-up rep. Okay, I must say that Representative Torres is a stand-up rep. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please tell Congressman Torres his mama says hello, the boss.
That's
Oh, you have so many mamas and papas who want to just
uh,
earn you
no,
over,
that's my actual mother, actually. So that's who's watching.
What can you share with the people that I might have missed that you would like to share before you leave? Because I know you have a long night ahead of you.
Yeah, I do want to share about an investigation that we just completed. So we conducted an investigation into Con Edison. As all of you might know, there were two gas utilities that service the city of New York. There's Con Edison, which services the Bronx, Manhattan, and parts of Queens. And then there's National Grid, which services Brooklyn and parts of Queens. We conducted an investigation exposing price gouging on the part of Con Edison, and we found that Con Edison is charging 100% more for gas delivery than National Grid. 100% more. You know, these two utilities are providing the same service in the same city, and it should be for the same price, and yet the prices differ, and the difference is not minor, it's massive. It's as much as 100%. So we found that Con Edison is charging the Bronx $1.29 per therm. It's charging Manhattan $1 per therm, and it's charging Queens 92 cents per therm. By contrast, National Grid is charging Queens 45 cents per therm, and it's charging Brooklyn 54 cents per therm. So the difference between what Con Edison is charging the Bronx and what National Grid is charging Queens is as much as 200%. We in the Bronx are paying 200% more for gas delivery than National Grid customers in Queens. And that to me is highway robbery. That is price gouging. That is preying upon the people of New York. And so I've called upon the governor and the Public Service Commission to hold Con Edison accountable and to crack down on the predatory pricing, on the price gouging. Now, Con Edison has said that it charges more because it offers a superior service. It's gas. Like, gas is no different in Brooklyn than it is in the Bronx. So why should we have to pay more for it? We should be paying the same price. It's the same service.
Someone said, must give you a hand clap. I don't know why. It's not about a round of applause here. And, I'm hearing it directly from Congressman Ritchie Torres. I'm getting the text coming in, but it's not about that. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, but you're here tonight to tell the people, not Avril. It's not about Avril. It's hearing it from the congressman. And I just know the people have a love for you. They have a love for you. You have a passion for what you do. I can't keep stressing that. We want you as our congressman. We want you to remain in the seat, the position, and where God place you to help the people. And that's where you belong and that's where you are. And that's why it's important to vote, because we want to make sure that we put elected officials in office who have a heart and a passion for the people. And that's why you're here tonight on the Avril Show.
Well, it's an honor to be here, and just thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity, and it's an honor to be on the show. And I feel like this is going to be a historic year because in 2025, the most powerful executive on earth is going to be a black woman, Kamala Harris, and the most powerful legislator on earth is going to be a black man, Hakeem Jeffries. Like, a black woman is going to be the next president of the United States, and a black man is going to be the next speaker of the House. And we're going to enter a golden age of black political power in America. And I'm excited. I'm fired up.
Thank you, thank you. When I look at you, Congressman, I realize that the elected officials are getting younger and younger, younger and younger. I look at you, I see Councilman Kevin C. Riley. I look at you, I see Senator Jamal Bailey. I see all our elected officials, and that's because you all run so much. You really need young people in office. And I'm glad to see the day has come where young people has make the mark. You're doing a great job. And when I see you around, I see the councilman, the senator, and everyone who is doing what they're doing. I really and truly appreciate your work, and I can't say it enough how much I appreciate the hard work that you're doing. And if there is anything that you need to say before you go that you're forgetting, I don't want you to forget one word before you leave here tonight. I would give you the floor right now, because people know he's not going to be here until the 10 o'clock hour, because I have to respect his time. And I just wanted him to come and greet you and let you know it's important for you to vote. When we have people like Congressman Ritchie Torres and all the other elected officials that I can bring on this show, it's just a matter of telling you, you got to vote. You're fighting hard for the people. The Con Edison, the the drugs problem that we have, the housing issue. I know everyone would like you to come here tonight and say, okay, I'm going to fix it tomorrow. But I know you're fighting for the people. And that's what matters. We're going to see a change. We know Martin Luther King did what he had to do. And today we are here to see the change. So we know we're seeing the change little by little, but we know you can't do it by yourself. So I'm not here tonight to say, well, he's going to do this tomorrow, but we just want you to hear the concern of the people, and we wanted the people to hear what you're doing for the people.
Well, thank you for your friendship. And, I'm not a miracle worker, but I'm a worker. And I'm going to work my heart out for the people of the Bronx. And just thank you for giving me the honor of representing you. And please keep me in your prayers.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know I can keep him here all night, and the listeners and the viewers will be happy to hear that. But no, we can't do that. I really have to tell you, thank you. My floor is open to you any day, and I welcome you. Thank you so much. Good night. Okay, you heard it from Congressman Ritchie Torres, Selvin Richardson, I heard you. That is important because gas impact every aspect of life. Yes, it is. We know we hear about the housing issue, the I don't know what you call it, opioid and all this stuff that the people are talking about. Thank you so much. Um, I know I saw him here. Benny, thank you, Benny. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nandi, yes, I know he would see your comment later. And it's amazing that I'm going to say that if you was to tell the people that the congressman is on, they will watch it later, yes, and folks will watch it who haven't seen it right now. It's always a pleasure, Benny, but and anyone who haven't seen it now will see it later. That's the most important thing, is to for him to come here. But my question is, when it's something negative, the people can't wait to hear it. But when it has to do with the positive, you have to wonder about our people. But tomorrow, those are the same people that will be asking the question about, oh, we having problem with housing, with this, and we have all this issue. But my people, we could only give you but so much. The congressman is very busy, has a busy schedule. He took his time out to come and greet you, the people. But you yourself have to read up on what they are doing. Pay attention to what our elected officials are doing. I know we argue all the time. Everybody want to see guns off the street. We want to see the drugs problem. We want to, Selvin, you want to go into a good hotel where you don't have to worry about all these issues. I understand all that. What are we, the people, doing? That is the question. What are we doing? We fight so much about the things and we are not coming with solution. Are we at the table? That's where we need to be, at the table. So instead of just we stay on social media, we write up all kind of nonsense, we fuss and fight with the elected officials. I was shocked to hear that the people of St. Kitts is upset because their prime minister took a vacation. Are you really serious? That's a whole different topic I'm going to come to. Tonight was all about embracing our congressman and giving him the opportunity to brace the Avril show. He did it. He spoke to you, my people. And I'm going to say, now it's our time to do our homework because we are not doing that. We need to pay attention. We are not doing that. And that is what this show is all about, the No Nonsense Show. All right, thank you so much. And tonight is one of those nights. It was all about our congressman and coming here to give you a listing of the businesses that is doing business in the community and making it happen. Spread the word. It was just a matter of embracing the congressman tonight. I won't be long with you tonight. There's so much happening for all of us. And folks, I thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this program. God love you, and so do I.